Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good morning. You saw them go do that.
Did you see O'Brien from the corner? You see him call his shot? You ever see anything like that? If only he could do that to actually win a game. If only it could be a last second, like a walk-off shot. I got this.
Who's ever done that? Don't. Who's ever shot a shot that went out of the game?
Babe Ruth.
That's a good one. Well, normally,
you ought to be shaming yourself, Skip.
When the Lakers win, we normally talk all things LeBron. But you know what? He is not the story right now because James Harden scored only 16 points last night as the Rockets fell to 3-6 in a blowout loss to the Lakers. Houston has lost 4 of their last 5, and Harden seems to be ramping up the pressure on the team to get him out. After the game, Harden said the Rockets are just not good enough. He then went on to say, quote, "This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed." Shannon, should the Rockets take the best deal on the table for Harden right now?
They shouldn't take the best deal that's on the table. But James Harden has made it abundantly clear. Skip, we had heard reports and guys reporting, insiders have been reporting that James Harden wants to be traded. He's made it clear. This was the very first time publicly that James Harden made it abundantly clear, I want to be out. Skip, James Harden's not even trying. He's not even pretending that he's playing hard. First of all, the way he showed up late to camp, and then he showed up out of shape. Now, James Harden, with that body that you see, can drop 40, but he needs to drop 25, as in pounds.
I agree.
Skip, he doesn't even care. He's not even trying. He's not even pretending. This is the longest streak of 20 or under point games James Harden has had since 2011, 2012.
When he was
with OKC.
He was the 6th man.
Skip, think about this. His first game back after being away from camp, he drops 44 and 17 at the blink of an eye. And then he follows that up with another high 30-point game. So we know James Harden, even in the condition that he's in, if he wants to, he can drop 30 on anybody every night. We've seen James Harden shoot 20-plus get 20 points in free throws. Mm-hmm. And now he's just milling around. Yep. Hey, you take it, John Wall. Hey, I'll pass it to you. I'm just going to be standing over here. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to make it so uncomfortable for everybody that you're going to have no choice. But, Skip, the thing is that while he's made it abundantly clear to the Rockets he wants out, he's killing the value in which they can get to it because teams just sitting back like, woo. Okay, that's another pick I get to keep in my pocket. That's another pick I get to keep. That's a solid player I get to keep on my roster that I'm not going to give up. The problem that they have, Skip, is that James Harden is under contract, but not just this year. Yep. He has 2 more years on his deal. So theoretically, no, Skip, we can play hardball. Skip, I believe if James Harden says, you know what, has a team meeting, they can be a player. You can't tell me that Christian Woods isn't better than Clint Capella. And John Wall is comparable to what Russell Westbrook.
I agree.
The only difference is that James Harden is uninterested currently in being in Houston, and he's giving, Skip, I'm not saying he's giving you a little effort. He's giving you no effort. He's like, got his foot over the line of I quit. But he ain't put it down yet, Skip, but he's up in the air and he's over there.
Agreed.
He's just waiting to put it down.
Yep.
And it's a shame because I believe, Skip, no matter what you do, you should give your best effort. And if you don't want, and I get he doesn't want to be there, But right now, they're going to have to. They're not, Skip, I've been the part like, no, I wouldn't do it. But after watching James Harden these last 2 games, ain't no way he can stay on this roster the whole year.
Okay, I think you just talked yourself into, yes, I would take the best deal on the table.
But Skip, you know what the best deal is going to be. It's going to be some sneakers, jock strap, and some Gatorade.
I don't think it's that bad.
Skip, you not.
But those extra draft picks, they've gone away.
They've gone away.
Yeah.
Skip, when you think about what they gave up, the Rockets gave up to get Chris Paul and to swap for Russ, and you think about what the Lakers gave up to get AD, is someone trying to tell me James Harden is a comparable as far as skill set as those guys? Now, I believe AD is a better all-around player than James Harden, but it's hard for me to find, if James Harden is motivated, a better offensive player than all of basketball. And I'm talking about Kevin Durant, LeBron, Steph. You name the offensive player. When that guy's motivated to play, can't nobody see it.
He revolutionized the game.
But right now, Skip, he's uninterested in playing.
Yep.
And if John Wall said, bro, after nine games, you ready to jump off the bridge? He said, no, I was ready to jump off the bridge before the first game.
Yep.
He was uninterested. Okay. And so, Skip, they're going to have to they got to do something sooner rather than later. Skip, I was like, maybe the All-Star game they might be. I don't think it's going to make it till then.
Okay. So, in a few minutes on this show, we're going to talk about another Houston superstar named Deshaun Watson, but he plays in this other league called the National Football League. And it's very different on that side of the fence versus this side of the fence, because on your side of the fence, you being in the NFL Hall of Fame, the players do not run the show.
No.
In the NBA, the players dictate.
Yes.
They are in control and in command.
Right.
And I believe James Harden has just seized command of his situation, and he finally made his first public declaration of, what was the last line? It's something that I don't think can be fixed. Boom. That's it. So he said, get me out of here now. And his play last night, I agree with you, that game was over in about a minute because you could just see he didn't want to be playing out there.
And he rubbed off on everybody else.
He did. The body language of the Rockets as a team was abominable. It was an embarrassment for the National Basketball Association. And your team rolled as it should have rolled, but it was hard not to roll against a team that was not competitive. And that Rockets team is much better than it played because, to your point, I like Christian Wood. He had 18 and 8 last night. I still am a fan of DeMarcus Cousins. They're trying to let him play his way back into shape.
Right.
I'm a fan of John Wall. Hey, I look at this team and I still see Eric Gordon and I see PJ and I see McLemore, and I can go down the list. This is a team that can't win the West, but could be the 4 seed. It could be in the middle of the Western Conference playoff picture and could win a round of the playoffs. So my point is this. Is James Harden not the shrewdest operator we've ever seen from the perimeter? Is there anybody more wily, more sly from the perimeter than James Harden? Who can get to the free throw line and get 3 free throws better than anybody in the history of basketball? It's this guy.
He can get free throws, Skip. Nobody's led the league in free throws attempted and made like James Harden over the last 5 years in the history.
So I believe he just pulled off a genius plot to play his way or eat his way out of Houston. Because I think he's eating his way out also.
You see him in the warm-up line? He like he came straight from the Denny's buffet.
Hey, seriously, he's got a gut. I mean, he's got a flat-out gut.
James Harden had the all-you-can-eat grand slam like 4 or 5 times yesterday.
Right, so I'm going to remind everybody what you went through. He came out and he wanted to even fat. He wanted to validate his value for his trade partners. So what did he do in the first game? We came in on Monday and raved about it because I believe it was a Saturday night at Portland and it went to overtime. And as you point out, he scored 44 points in that game. I thought it was about as great as I've ever seen him play. And he also had, as you said, 17 assists. And it went to the buzzer and they lost by 2 to Portland because C.J. McCollum just went off. Okay. So we sat back and said, wow. That was spectacular. That was special. Maybe these Rockets, maybe he's going to be happy with the Rockets, right? And then he comes back at Denver the next game and scores 34. And then at home against Sacramento, he scored 33. And then he decided to take it wasn't exactly back-to-back. They had a night in between, but they had to play Sacramento again. And he said, I'm done. I'm not going to play that game. And here we went. with almost quit James Harden. And I agree with you. He put his sneaker across the line, and he hasn't quite touched it down, but it's as close to quitting as you can get without quitting. So here's what he's averaged over his last 5 games. This is James freaking Harden we're talking about. He's averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds. He has averaged 10 assists. So you got to give him that because he's still, but it's all like, I don't care assists where you do it. You do it, you do it.
But Skip, we've seen him average 29 and 10 assists, 29 and 11 assists. So we know he can facilitate the ball, but the scoring is where he hurts you.
So over the last 5 games, he is shooting 38% from the floor. It's horrendously bad.
Yes.
He's shooting 26% from 3. Horrendous. That's 10 of 39. Really? He's averaging 5 free throws a game. He averages 10 for his career. Okay, so so he's not even trying to get to the free throw line. They're just happening by accident that he shoots 5 a game. Quit, almost quit, right? So he's saying, I'm done, Houston. You're going to have to move me.
Because you know what happened, Skip? He came back and he did those stat lines like you said in the first 3 games. He's like, hold on. I'm playing too hard. They're going to think I want to be here.
Yeah.
Let me back this thing up to let y'all know.
But he did need to show them, I can still do this. Because if you didn't do the first couple of games, people might be saying, wait a second, have you lost it completely? So he validated value. I can still do this even fast.
Yes.
Okay, so you come get me and I'll show you spectacular.
Right.
Okay, so now, what do we know? Well, there are obviously 2 potential trade destinations at the top of the priority list. He's listed other teams. But obviously, it's Nets and it's Sixers. Okay, so the Nets, we're about to talk about the Kyrie issue. So they got an issue with Kyrie Irving.
I no longer want Kyrie.
Okay.
Give me Jared Allen, give me Karis LeVert.
Okay, but would Houston consider straight up Kyrie for James Harden?
Hell no.
I don't know. I think they would at this point.
Skip, I don't want them.
Okay.
Why am I going to get rid of a headache for a toothache?
Okay, because the problem with that would be, obviously, Kyrie loves Kevin Durant like a brother. They are brothers. And if he doesn't have a no trade. They could do that. If they were just sick and tired already of Kyrie and say, we can't trust him going forward, they could do that. They could ship him out.
Yeah, but
would he ever be happy in Houston? I'm going to say a big no to that.
But if you look at the Rockets, Skip, I'm getting rid of a problem to take on another problem.
All right. I got it. But you're also going superstar for superstar offensive talent.
How about this, Skip? I take Jared Allen. I take Karis LeVert. I'll take, I don't really know who else, maybe Joe Harris and 2 first-rounders. You can have James Harden.
Okay, would those guys ever measure up to what James Harden has done for you?
No, but they'll measure up to what he's doing right now for me.
Okay, if I'm the Nets, what I've seen already of my team, the depth and the firepower down the bench, because they've been winning some games. They won last night with just Kevin Durant being the best player on the planet.
Right.
But that team is so deep and powerful to me, I'm not going to break it up for James Harden. I like what I have, as long as I figure Kyrie's going to figure it out and come back.
What are we going to figure? We're going to talk about what?
I don't know what he's trying to figure out, but as long as he comes back and plays maybe 2/3 of the season, I'm still good. Okay, let's look at the Sixers. His GM, who pledged allegiance to him as he walked out the door, Daryl Morey, left an ad in the Houston Chronicle saying, you changed my life, James Harden, which he did.
Yes, he put him on the map.
Okay, so Daryl Morey is now running the Sixers.
Correct.
Would he do Ben Simmons straight up? Would Houston take Ben Simmons right now? Again, I like Ben Simmons.
I like Ben Simmons, Skip, but if I'm the Houston Rockets, I don't want just Ben Simmons straight up for James Harden.
Okay, what else? What would be fair?
I want Ben Simmons, I want Tobias Harris, and I want 2 first-round picks. Unprotected picks.
Okay, they might do the picks, but again, I'm more of a Ben Simmons fan than you are. What's he averaging now? 13, 9, and 8, I believe it is. Yeah, 13, 9, and 8, and he's 24 years of age. I still think he plays great off Joel Embiid. He fouled out last night, but he's shorthanded.
He's a tremendous defensive player. He can rebound. He can assist the ball. He's not the scoring threat that you would think that he would be at 6'10".
Obviously, he's shooting 60% from the free throw line right now, which I don't love, and he's made 1 3 out of 2 attempts. So at least he tried.
Well, he's made 1 in his probably career. He probably got 2 of it made in his whole career.
Okay, all right. I'm still going to take their chemistry, stability, and future over James Harden. I would not do it.
And that's what I don't get, Skip. I don't see the continuity that I see from Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and James Harden and Joel Embiid. Am I missing something? I don't see how they work together. James Harden's really never played with a big, especially a big that's going to command the ball. He's always played with bigs that, hey, just get the rebound and pass it to James Harden. Ben Simmons is going, not Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid is going to want the ball.
Plus, he wants it down low in the lane, which is in your driving lane.
Yes.
Okay? I wouldn't do it. So where do you go with James Harden? I don't know. He put Miami on the list.
So you going up to Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. Who else they going to want? Maybe none and a couple of draft picks?
Well, they probably want Bam to start with, but I wouldn't do it.
Man, get out of here. I bammed them over the head. They talking about he want Bam for James. No. Bam is the anchor of the D. He rebounds. He plays defense. He scores the basketball. I'm not giving up Bam for no James Harden. That defeats the purpose.
Yep. So I don't know if you try to trade James to, I'm just throwing this out, the Timberwolves, if he would accept that and be happy in Minnesota.
Well, who you going to get, Karl Anthony Towns?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah, that's if somebody wanted to just do it for box office, like we got James Harden. We're some small market team, and we got James Harden. We can sell this.
Minnesota's not going to do that. Minnesota, they'd be terrible. They would basically be the Rockets, the Houston of the Midwest, because they'd just be small. Because you got no size, Skip.
Okay.
They got Edwards.
I'm just throwing teams out. Like the Bulls are not very good right now, but they got Zach LaVine, he's got star power to him. Would you take Zach LaVine and try to build around him with draft choices?
Skip, if you're telling me if James Harden were to apply himself and say like in a week or 2 weeks, the starting lineup is James Harden, John Wall, Christian Wood, Boogie Cousins,
I totally
PJ
agree.
Tucker.
I thought that's what was going to happen. It's pretty good.
Yes!
Yes, I agree. I mean, James may find that right under his nose is still his best opportunity.
But, Skip, he just wants out. I just don't know. I mean, James Harden is just eating himself, and he just doesn't care. Skip, I get it. This is what you got to commend guys like LeBron. LeBron says, I'm going to play my contract out, play my tail off.
He does.
I'm bouncing.
Yep, I agree.
Kevin Durant played his butt off. Even though, Skip, AD wanted out, AD was still giving you 26 and 11.
Yeah, I do think, but he was a little pouty, and I'm not sure his heart was in it.
The last week is really when he put it, and I didn't agree with him wearing the shirt. That's all, folks.
Yep.
But AD was playing his butt off.
Yep. So I'm going to remind everybody.
But remember, Skip, now that was the Pelicans that deactivated him. He didn't deactivate himself. He was giving it to him.
Yep. Okay. He was a much younger player at that point than James is 31 years of age. So he's starting to enter the backside of what he's going to be worth, because I'm going to say, just like Russell Westbrook that we've seen, starts to hit the wall because he's a high contact. James is taking a lot of contact.
A lot of contact, a lot of times picking himself up off the floor. But here's the problem that James ran into. You wanted that long-term security, so you signed that extension that tied you to the Rockets for 2 more years after this season. Now when you want out, it's different than AD. AD only had 1 summer. If you had 1 summer, Kyrie had 1 summer, we get that. But when you got 2 whole years, they kind of got you by the bag. But the way he's come in, the shape, the conditioning in which he's come in, and the way he's playing currently, Skip, I think their hands are tied. I think they have no choice but to move him. And I guess you're basically like you said, I guess I'm going to have to get what I can get.
Yep. Okay, before we leave this game, I've got to give you a chance to gloat as you did off the top of the show. We've got to show the LeBron call shot from the corner.
What'd he do?
Can we see it, please?
It's Schroeder's fault.
Yeah.
I bet you don't make it.
Schroeder says,
I bet you don't make it. Put something on it. Bam! You won't bet nothing. You won't bet nothing, Schroeder. Now give me my money.
He said he bet a Benjamin on it.
Yeah.
Nothing but the Benjamin.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, Benjamin's in net.
When you bet, you either shake a man's hand or you look him in his eye. So he said, I bet you a Benjamin, you won't hit it. He turned around and said, put something on it then.
For those not keeping score, that put the Lakers up 48-24. It was LeBron at his front-running greatest. When this man can front run like nobody in the history of this game can front run like LeBron James. And if he wants to win his Benjamin back, Maybe Schroeder should walk up to me the next time he's at the free throw line and say, bet you don't make that.
Hold on, Skip. So we just gonna gloss over the fact that LeBron had 22, 5, and 4 in the first half? Or he had 10 in the first quarter and 12 in the second. So we just gonna gloss over it. So how did they get that 48-24 lead?
What does your stat sheet say about LeBron from the free throw line last night?
They say LeBron James was plus 15.
What's the free throws? Do you see it over there?
He was 2 of 4.
Two of four. Oh, do you realize that lately LeBron has sort of lost it at the free throw line? Over his last 4 games, he's 62%, which has dropped him all the way to 70. And you bet me that he's going to shoot 80?
I said 75.
I thought it was 80.
The 80 was last year. 80 was last year. 75
I'm still very good with 75. Do you want to call the bet off now?
No.
Huh?
Hold on.
He's dropped to 70% already. We're just, 12 games in?
You must be thinking I'm James Harden. I'm ready to jump off the cliff after 10 games. No.
Well, speaking of jumping off the cliff, how about what happened to LeBron late in the game? It was late in the third quarter, and I'm thinking, wait a second, was this really the guy whose people say is the MVP right now? Here's LeBron. What? How do you allow that to happen?
Because he got AD back there. Because he wanted AD to do that. He wanted to enhance AD Defensive Player of the Year opportunity, and he got it.
LeBron? That's Sterling Brown.
That's okay.
Late of the Milwaukee Bucks. What are you doing?
AD, thank you.
He's like the 12th man on that team.
And we got a rebound. See how we did that, Skip? You see how we did right there? We turned a negative into a positive. AD got to highlight his defensive skills, and I got me a cheap rebound.
I wish LeBron would make a shot in the fourth quarter.
We ain't played the fourth quarter. You see, we skipped 29 minutes.
I was impressed.
29 minutes.
I think he played a little bit in the fourth quarter.
We played like a minute.
Are you going to try to stat stuff the whole fourth quarter in this blowout? And remember, they're playing again tonight at Oklahoma City.
Skip, the stat, like you say, we roll out of bed. We don't stuff no stats.
Okay.
We just get out of bed. We get out of bed, and we 25, 7, and 7.
So what's he good for tonight? 30, 10, 10?
No. We ain't trying to do it like that.
It's the Thunder.
We're not
There's no CP3.
We're not trying to exert ourselves this early. We'll hit you with a smooth 25.
Have you played every game so far after you told me he wasn't going to play any back-to-backs?
No, I'm saying we're not. Are we exerting ourselves? We're playing the fewest amount of minutes we played in our career. We're a career 38-minute-a-night guy. We down in the low 30s.
Have you played all 12 games?
We might play all 72 games. Why you care?
Well, then maybe you'd creep up on Michael Jordan a little bit.
We done passed Mike.
What did he do? 10 times he played all 82?
We creeping up on, look at this, Skip. What we see on the horizon is 7'2". And he finished his career with the Lakers. That's what we looking at. We looking at Kareem. We coming.
We're stat stuffing. We're coming.
What about your guy? Is your guy the guy that's in Tampa, in Central Florida?
What about him?
Is he stat stuffing?
No.
Playing 21 years.
No, he's
playing
for all the marbles.
Okay. What my guy playing for? What my guy playing for?
The bubble marble?
See?
You need to get back in the bubble.
You're going to try to find an excuse this year. Oh, they had to interrupt the season.
We're not in a bubble, guys. We can't use that anymore. Houston, we got a problem here. We got to figure this out with James Harden.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Shay Sharp. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
Well, an interesting situation here, guys. Kyrie Irving has now missed 4 straight games for personal reasons. And according to a report, he won't be back anytime soon. But the NBA is reviewing video that surfaced during his absence where Kyrie attended a family member's birthday party without wearing a mask. Then last night, while his team was preparing to play the Nuggets, the Barclays Center, Kyrie was spotted virtually attending an event for a Manhattan District Attorney candidate. Shannon, if you were the Nets, how would you handle this?
If I'm his teammates, I'm ticked off. If I'm the Nets, I'm even more ticked off. But, let me take that back. If I'm his teammates, I'm ticked off. The Nets shouldn't be ticked off because they knew what they were getting. They knew Kyrie was moody. They knew he was mercurial, and they knew he had these bouts where, and people have said Kyrie would be fine one day, and then he would go a month or 2 months without speaking to anybody. So you knew exactly what you were getting. But again, Skip, this is what we call production intolerance. Kyrie Irving produces at an extremely high level. So here, your tolerance level for this kind of behavior is you accept it. My thing is, Skip, and I've always said this, whatever Kyrie may or may not be dealing with, deal with it. Got no problem. But just like he texted his teammates or called his teammates and said he wasn't showing up, he should have done that with the Nets. He should have done that with Steve Nash. He should have given Sean Marks that exact courtesy. But he already told Steve Nash what he thought of him when he said, we don't need a coach. So he already told the level of disrespect is already there on that behalf. This notion, oh, yeah, this guy was an MVP and he coached on it, that ain't got nothing to do with it. Kyrie Irving doesn't view Steve Nash as an equal of his, even though he won those MVPs. That was disrespectful for him to say that outright anyway. And then during the game, you on a call? A teleconference about somebody running for the DA's office.
In
really?
Manhattan. Yep.
Really? And everybody gonna say, oh, man, you know, he's dealing with, okay, deal with it.
It's a fundraiser that he was on.
Come on, man.
Really?
The blatant level of disrespect
it is.
that Kyrie Irving has shown for this teammates and this organization. But I don't even feel bad because the Nets was willing to sign up on this because it meant they were also getting Kevin Durant. I believe if they could have got Kevin Durant without Kyrie, they would have passed. But it was a package deal, Skip. When they say you get 2 for 1, you can't buy these items separately. You got to buy both, even though you only want one.
Agreed.
And that's what they had to do. They had to buy both items, even though they only wanted one. Kyrie Irving, whatever he's going through, I wish him the best. I hope everything is well. But there's a level of disrespect that he's displayed that's very, very unprofessional. And he's been that way. It was LeBron's fault in Cleveland. Now, I don't know whose fault it was, but it was somebody's fault other than Kyrie's in Boston. So now he's in Brooklyn, where he wants to be. Now, I want to know whose fault this is. Kyrie needs to deal with what Kyrie's doing, but Kyrie needs to maintain a level of professionalism. Regardless of what you're going through, you must be professional at all times because you're in a professional environment, period.
Agreed. Yet, if I'm the Nets, I sit back and I grit my teeth and I maybe bite my lip.
Well, you're right. This thing I Skip.
And I just say, we knew what we were getting into, to your point, and we can't overreact to it because it's part and parcel of the package we bought.
Yes.
This is what we purchased. We knew exactly what was going to come with it. What did he say last week? He called himself an artist, and he dismissed all the rest of the media members as pawns in the big grand scheme game that he plays, right?
Yep.
So the artist is going through something that we don't know. I don't know. This is difficult to draw a conclusion on because I don't know what his issues are.
Right.
Does he have a personal issue we don't know about? It's possible.
Right.
I don't know. But it's also blatantly disrespectful to his team, his new head coach, and his new management, especially the Zoom call, especially that. Come on, really? So if you are having issues, at least you could refrain from that.
Thank you.
The birthday party, I don't know. It looks like there are a lot of people there, but it's a little dark and it's hard to
and the NBA says, you know, we're going to try to restrict because Skip, they're trying to get through the season. They're trying to get y'all, they want their money. They're trying to make sure these players, because I can assure you, the players want their money.
Yes,
you got guys making $20, $30, $40 million. I'm trying to get all that, Skip, because I got deducted a little bit last year.
Yep.
So I'm not trying to play for 30%, 40% on the dollar.
Nope.
So they're like, look, guys, we want to limit your contact. Although we test every single day, you going and putting, getting around people that's not tested every day. And because Jason Tatum, Skip, he had it. Well, he's in close proximity to everybody on his team. How many different guys guarded him from the other team? So you're trying to minimize, Skip. You can't avoid all the risk, but you're trying to minimize the risk. And Kyrie Irving like, hey, I'm going to do me. Do me. But the Zoom call, Skip, it's so disrespectful. I think it's disrespectful to KD. Because KD went there, y'all want a package deal. KD can basically vouch for you.
Yep.
KD is the one that man, Kai is good people, yada, yada, yada. But he's actually turned into Kanye. He Kanye Irving.
I can't disagree. Again, I don't know exactly what the issue is, but it seems like there's always an issue.
But Skip, even if there's an issue, can we maintain a certain level of professionalism? That's all I'm saying. People have issues. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be an artist or an entertainer or a basketball player or a CEO. Skip, there are a lot of people that have issues. But my only thing is, no matter what the situation is, you must maintain a certain level of professionalism. The common courtesy. Hey, Charlie, something came up today. I'm not going to be able to come to work. Okay, but then you see me walking down, and you see at the time of the show, you see me walking down Rodeo. There's footage of Shannon walking down Rodeo, but I couldn't come to work.
At 6:15 in the morning? Ooh. Okay.
Or you see me, I'm on a Zoom call. In the middle of the show, I'm on a Zoom call. I thought you... But I'm on a Zoom call, Skip.
You might get a text from me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Just be professional with it, Kyrie. You know how this looks. How is this gonna look? Man, my team playing. But I ain't, I'm on a Zoom call. And I understand the issues. Kyrie is very thoughtful. There's a lot of issues that's going on that Kyrie wants to be a part of and wants to have to come to some help solve those problems. Skip, I get him. I commend him for that. But don't, on one hand, want to do that because you still have a job over here that you need to maintain a level of professionalism. Just the courtesy to reach out and tell Sean Marks, tell Steve Nash, man, this is what's going on with me, bro. Not to go in too much detail, but I'm going to need a little time off.
Yep.
But your time off, Skip, take time off to get whatever you have going on, get that resolved. Don't be doing Zoom meetings. Don't be doing these birthday parties. Come on, brother. The look. Optic. What's the new word in 2016? Optics. It became optics.
Yep. So back to production superseding tolerance. I saw a stat last night on 538, and their third level stats all correctly. It was beyond me. It's over my head. But the so far in the NBA, Jokic was number one, and 2 was Kyrie Irving. To a spectacular start. The team has potential. A stat. You see what this player on the planet did last night. The player on the planet for the Brooklyn Nets. That guy Kevin Durant is back. Man, he is Kevin Durant. Well, you can put it in all caps.
Well, I hope they don't go back to the bubble because Jamal Murray is a different cat in that bubble than what he is right now. He haven't seemed to recapture that form that he had in the bubble, Skip.
Still had 20, but it wasn't enough because down the stretch, the best player on the planet said, I got this.
They gagged it off, Skip.
And
you saw that.
He had 34 points, and he had a career-high 13 assists. So he said, tonight, I'm going to be Kevin and I'm going to be Kyrie, right?
Well, he had no choice, Skip, because his primary ball handler was out.
Dish out 13.
Yeah, and he was extremely efficient, 12 of 18, 4 of 7 for 3, 6 of 7 for the free throw line, plus 15.
And that guy, Karis LeVert, came off the bench again and got you 20.
Yeah, he gonna light you up.
This team. And they're playing still shorthanded. And
Lawal Cabarro, I mean, he's playing well.
TLC.
Yeah, this kid, look, we got the THD. Don't do that.
TLC.
Don't worry.
I'll take that loving care.
Y'all try to take over my THT.
Yeah. THT on TNT.
Yeah.
He hadn't been living up. I don't think TNT wants him yet. I don't know.
Somebody gonna try to steal him from under.
I think LeBron overhyped him.
No, somebody gonna try to steal him from under. But my thing is with Kyrie. Kyrie is a phenomenal player.
Okay. This team has phenomenal potential.
Yes.
If he figures himself out, if he gets right with the world and right in his own head, and he comes back.
But you know what, Skip?
If I'm the Lakers, I would fear this team in the finals.
Skip, if I'm the Nets, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Because what happens when we get in the middle of a playoff run, he needs to take a break. What happens when we get into the finals?
Okay. It's potential.
So if I'm more concerned if I'm a Brooklyn Nets, as an organization, as teammates, as opposed to another team, because at any given time, he might say, well, I need a break. And then what do, Skip?
You grin and bear it.
You got no choice.
Bite lip. You just close your eyes and hope it's going to work out for the best.
Yes.
That he comes back and bequeaths you with his presence.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you signed up for, right?
That's it.
Okay. I don't think he's a bad guy. No. I just think he's very different.
And that's how they do, Skip. You go to some stores and they got these big old, I need a thing of mouthwash, where they got the two of the things together and they got a gallon.
And they're
they intertwine. Yeah. I don't need 2 gallons of mouthwash. I just want the one. Well, Mr. Sharp, if you want, you got to take both of them. And that's with Kyrie. You want KD? You got to take Kyrie and some of the things that come along with him.
Remember the Nets team that went to the bubble last year? It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
And it was going nowhere fast.
They were very fun because Karis LeVert was spectacular. Remember that showdown with him and Dame Dollar? Yeah. Going bucket for bucket.
I got it.
So.
But you put those two superstars with this bunch, look out.
Oh, yeah.
This is a weird situation. We'll have to see how it all unfolds with Kyrie. But I want to get back to Tom Brady because we're going to see him back in action this weekend. You know, he's turned things around after losing to the Saints 38-3 Week 9. Not only are the Bucs currently on a 5-game win streak, but Brady has also gotten the ball out faster since Week 10. Brady has been blitzed on 36% of his dropbacks since Week 10 compared to only 19% in Weeks 1 through 9. But despite the increased blitzes, Brady's passer rating has actually gone up from 96 to over 127 since Week 10. So, Shannon, how much better is the Bucs offense since the last time they played?
The Bucs are what? See, I love the way they did this. They said since Week 10. Let me tell you the pass defense that they played since Week 10. The teams they've beaten, the best pass defense has been the Panthers. They're ranked 18th. They beat the Vikings, 25th in pass defense. They beat the Falcons twice. They're 32nd in pass defense. They beat the Detroit Lions, 30th in pass defense. So is it the level of competition that Tom Brady's competing against, or has Tom Brady got exponentially better?
Oh, so Shannon Sharp is saying Tom Brady and the Bucs are vastly overrated, correct?
I'm saying they beat bad teams, they lose to good teams. Remember, Skip, they were coming off a 3-game winning streak when they played New Orleans the second time, right? They had just rolled Green Bay.
Wait, is Green Bay a bad team?
Hold on, Skip. Hold on just a second. They won 1 game against a playoff team. What about the other? Okay, Kansas City. Are they a good team? Did they beat Kansas City?
They would have if Brady had gotten the ball back.
There you go. I'm talking about a simple question, a simple yes or no. Did they beat Kansas City? No, they did not. Did they beat the Rams? Did they beat Chicago? Did they beat New Orleans either time? So they played 6 playoff teams. They won 1. They're 1-5 against playoff teams. And you look at what they've gone up against, Skip. Okay, they beat Washington. And as I said, Tom Brady was up and down. Look how Tom Brady started off. He got good in the middle, and he kind of tapered off at the end. Look at the way he started the game. Go pull the number.
Okay, go look at what Chris Godwin did in that game. He dropped a touchdown pass that led to 2 more drops. Are you kidding?
Skip, instead of like they've been blitzing him, they've been look at the pass defenses. Okay, what happened when good teams
Washington have a good defense?
Skip, they finished second. So you're going to just disregard everything else, huh? So the Panthers.
Did anybody else put up 507 yards, 507 yards on Washington?
Okay.
Nobody.
Are the Panthers a good defense? A simple yes or simple no?
No.
Are the Vikings a good defense? A simple yes or a simple no?
Here and there.
Are the Falcons a good defense? Yes or no? Are the Lions a good defense? Minnesota, you say Minnesota here or there. Minnesota got 43 hung on them by Atlanta. And we know what Atlanta, they're picking in the top 5 in the draft. So the answer is no, 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 no. So stop this notion.
You see what Atlanta did to the Raiders? What was the score? 43-6?
Skip, what you've done and what people have done is talk themselves. And that's okay. I get it. That's Tom Brady and the offense. But I'm saying over the last 5 weeks, they've beaten 1 good defensive team. And they lost. See, you notice what they did. They took it so that way we could take out the Saints. We could take out Kansas City. We could take out, since week 5. Did they not play weeks 1 through 9? Do they not count?
So you're making a case this should be a rout at New Orleans.
Let's
that the Saints should blow. Well, no, start it. That's what you just told me. You just laid it out, thanks to your researcher, Steve, and you showed me, you mapped out why this is going to be a blowout.
No, I didn't.
Because they've beaten 1 good team all year.
So in other words,
and it was a fluky Aaron Rodgers 2 pick sixes.
So in other words, you saying what Jenny read and what you're saying, the Bucs should blow New Orleans out. Huh?
No, I didn't say that.
No. So why am I saying that? Why am I saying New Orleans should blow them out?
Well, you just showed me that,
Okay.
that it's a complete fabrication.
And
These stats.
And Jenny said that his
this is completely misleading the public.
And Jenny just read that his QBR has gone from 96 to 127.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words,
it's a passer rating.
Yeah. So in other words, the Bucs should blow the Saints out since he's got exponentially better. Am I correct?
Not blow out, but they just got. They got annihilated and humiliated at home on a Sunday night. It wasn't that long ago. It was at mid-year. They were 6-2.
But they didn't factor that game in. They didn't factor. See, they cut it off at that. See, that was 4. That was week 9. So we got to start at week 10 because there goes your theory. We blow the whole article up if we factor week 9 in. You see what they did? You think you're slick, but you can't be slick to a can of oil. That's me.
You're a can of oil.
Yeah, I'm slicker than slick.
I think you're leaking oil. Your theory is leaking oil all over this
All I'm
table.
saying, Skip.
We need help. We need cleanup on aisle 4 over here.
All I'm saying, you told me that I'm saying that the Bucs have been overrated and the Saints should blow them out. All I'm doing is using your argument against you. Since Tom Brady and this offense have been so well, they should blow the Saints.
I will take 10 points in Tampa Bay at New Orleans on Sunday.
The line is
Will
3.
you do it right now?
The line is 3.
You laid out your case. You made your case, counselor.
First of all.
Put your money or your diet due where your mouth is.
I got 5 cases of due to play with right here. So since I got 5 cases, I'll be willing to ship you 2. I got 2. Game head up.
Head up?
Head up.
After all you just laid out?
Got to go.
Huh?
You told me he to go.
43.
You told me to go.
43.
Hold up. We putting up pictures of him and George Blanda, trying to make George Blanda look bad. Talking about, look at George, look at 43, look at Tom.
He does look bad.
That's the hill there. So, do I have a bet? Do we have a bet?
Yeah, for 10 points.
No.
I'll take it right now.
Why would I give you
do where your mouth is.
No, I am.
Well, you're crowing about it. You're saying they're completely overrated, that people are completely missing the point here.
Skip.
Right? Isn't that what you just said?
I didn't say, Skip. Yes, I'm saying this notion that Tom Brady has been exponentially better. Yes, he's been better, but he's doing against bad teams.
Okay, let me show you just how bad it was for Tom Brady on that fateful Sunday night, the last time he saw these New Orleans Saints. Do you remember what happened late in the third quarter of that game? It was a 4th and 7 play.
What happened?
Could we see this? This is Tom Brady hitting bottom, just throwing it up for grabs, and Malcolm Jenkins said, "Thank you very much." Ball game. It was 31-0 at that point.
So
Look how bad that. You know what? That was a give-up play. That was Tom Brady just saying, "I'm so frustrated, I give up. I throw it to you, Malcolm. Here, early Christmas present." Right?
Yeah.
That's how bad. That's hitting bottom. That team hit bottom.
Hold on. How you to go with AB, with Gronk, with Mike Evans, with Chris Godwin, with all those guys? How do you hit bottom? If you're that guy, so in other words, you said he gave up. So he pulled a James Harden.
Okay.
He did what James Harden did last night. Is that what you're telling me?
I'll take 10 points. That's what I'm trying to show you. I'll take 10 points.
No, I got nothing for
Put
you.
your due where your mouth
just
is.
did.
Are you afraid of the GOAT?
No.
Yeah?
Skip, remember I took 5 cases off you. You said they were going to win the division. I said they wouldn't.
Okay.
I got 5.
All right.
I'm giving you a chance to get 2 of them back.
And you said Belichick would win more games than Brady would this year, and I got them all back.
No. I bought out early. You didn't want to buy.
You negotiated out from under your bet.
Yes.
I think it was like you said 3.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then that cancels.
No. I don't want some. Oh.
Well, I'll do it right now. I'll do 10 points for 5 cases.
Skip, why would I give you more points than what the line is?
Because you have confidence.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, if you got so much confidence in them, give me 10.
Well, why would you even flinch at 10?
Skip, stop it.
No, start it. I don't understand.
You do understand.
You're speaking out of both sides of your
I'm
mouth
not.
because you're afraid of Tom Brady.
So because I won't give you 10 points, I'm afraid that Tom Brady. Well, if you're so sure, Tom, give me 10.
Okay.
Give me 10 points right now.
I'm just going on my eye test.
Okay, well, give me 10.
I'm not going with 10. They're already a 3-point underdog.
So in other words, you want me to give you a 3-point under? So
It would be a huge upset if Tom Brady could right the wrong of the first 2 games because you thought they got shellacked in the opener at New Orleans to start with.
No, first of all, Cleveland pulled an upset on Pittsburgh. I understand that they're 3 points, but what was Cleveland? 7, 8?
Yeah.
That would be considered an upset. The Rams beating Seattle, that's an upset. This wouldn't be, I wouldn't consider this an upset.
Okay, but this is classic. You just laid out why the line is completely off and wrong.
No, I did not.
Sometimes
Skip.
Las Vegas just doesn't get it.
No, Skip. What I laid out is that this notion since week 10 that Tom Brady, I laid out he's put up big numbers against really bad defenses. That's what I laid out. And when he played really good defenses, he didn't put those numbers up. The Saints, why didn't he put those numbers up against the Saints or the Rams or the Bears? Just tell me that.
What did I tell you yesterday? What's the new X factor? Antonio Brown. Did you see Pro Football Focus ranked its top 25 receivers, its final ranking of the year? What Tampa Bay receiver ranked highest on that list? Did you see it last night?
No, I didn't.
Antonio Brown was up at 11. Chris Godwin was clear down at, I think, 23 out of the top 25. Mike Evans didn't make the top 25. What happened that night in question? We just saw that awful interception at nearly the end of the night. That was 31-0 at that point. What had just happened that week? They had signed Antonio Brown, and he had practiced twice with them, and they threw him in, not just to the rotation, they threw him into the starting lineup that night, okay? So what did you expect that night? Did you expect miracles?
You see what you do? When Tom Brady was playing bad, you would blame AB. Now Tom Brady's playing good, you ain't mentioned very little about AB.
Do you realize?
Tom Brady, I ain't hear nothing about no AB in the lead.
Why did Pro Football Focus rank him all the way up at 11 among all wide receivers? Because he caught 100% of graded catchable passes. 100%.
But I thought Brady threw all catchable passes. So what you mean 100% of the catchable passes?
Well, I don't know.
All of them catchable, right? Now Tom Brady throws the most
there were only
catchable.
a couple that weren't.
No. You told me the reason why Tom Brady had so many interceptions because he throws the most catchable ball, and the defense can't do anything but catch him.
What did I also tell you would happen in the bye week, which came very late? It came all the way after the Chiefs game, which they should have won if Brady had gotten the ball back with 4 minutes and 10 seconds.
I'm trying to figure why they get down.
Because the defense gave up, 250 yards passing in the first quarter.
Did Tom Brady not have the ball in the first quarter?
What did Tyreek get in the first quarter? Was it 200?
What did Brady get in the first quarter? Tell me that. I don't know. I don't care nothing about. I don't care what Kansas City. I want to know what Brady got in the first quarter.
He completely outplayed Patrick Mahomes over the last 3 quarters. And it wasn't even close.
Did he
scorched him.
Did he outplay Patrick Mahomes for the game?
Yes, I believe he did for the game. He had 2 long 75-yard drives in the fourth quarter that cut it to 27-24 with 4:10 left.
Skip.
Your defense just has to make one little stop. You get the ball back, you're done.
Skip, it's not my fault that you got to drive to San Francisco from L.A. and I get to hop a flight. I got Tyreek. I get one play, go 75. It take you 12. That's not my fault.
Okay, so the bye week came next. And what did I tell you was going to happen? They were going to fix things on offense. And what did they come out of the bye week doing for the first time all year? They started sending people in motion before the snap. Who knew? Bruce Arians doesn't like that. Tom said in the 2 weeks off, Bruce, I got to have it. What did they not do for the first, 12 games of the year? They didn't play action pass. And all of a sudden, Tom said, I got to have it. I feast on play action. Down the stretch, a lot of play action. All of a sudden, motion and play action. Now you're starting to see Brady's offense blended into Bruce Arians, no risk it, no biscuit. So
Brady's numbers has nothing to do with a reflection of the porous defenses he's playing. That's all Brady.
Okay. It actually helped they were porous defenses because this team has been thrown together on the fly and it needed reps. It needed confidence building, and it built its confidence because all of a sudden AB started to click and gel and connect with Tom Brady. And all of a sudden they're coming in with supreme confidence to go to New Orleans and face a defense which is their worst nightmare matchup. No defense matches up better with Brady's offense than this one. But what did Bruce Arians say a couple days back? Yeah, they got swagger on defense, but we have at least as much swagger on our offense. He said, I guarantee that.
What about your defense against the Saints offense?
Problems. Got to outscore them. Got to put up 35-ish to win this game, and I believe they will.
So give me 10.
What are you talking about?
Why not? You just talking about, they got AB.
You said they're overrated.
No. You told me AB. AB, the 11th highest rated receiver.
It'd be shocking that they would win this game.
And you got the 2nd highest rated quarterback.
How many people do you think will pick Tom Brady? In the entire media, all the prognosticators, how many will pick Tom Brady to win this game? How about none?
No.
You want to bet?
No, there'll be some.
It'll be none.
There'll be some pickle.
No,
yeah, sure.
there will not.
Sure.
0.
I'm not going to be one of them.
Find one.
I'm not going to be one.
Well,
but I'm expecting to get those 10 points since Tom Brady, so he white hot.
Well, what do you think the score range is going to be? Do you think New Orleans will win by what? 1?
I don't care.
2? 3?
Your team red hot. That's what you told me. You told me they red hot.
On offense.
R-E-D, red H-O-T.
On offense.
Yeah, that's what they red hot.
On defense.
I mean, you just kick it up and you got the big sides.
But they do get Devin White.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
Time for our trending story, brought to you by the all-new Kia Sorento, the world's first storytelling machine. Well, reports have circulated that Deshaun Watson is unhappy with the Texans and would like to be traded. Former All-Pro receiver Andre Johnson, who spent 12 years in Houston, showed his support for Deshaun by tweeting, quote, "If I'm Deshaun Watson, I will stand my ground. The Texans organization is known for wasting players' careers." Heavy statement there. Shannon, what should Deshaun do here?
Deshaun should do what Dre told him to do, stand his ground. Deshaun Watson is going to have to do what's in the best interest for Deshaun Watson, because clearly they've blown an opportunity. They've wasted some valuable years, Skip. They let Dwayne Brown go. In order to replace Dwayne Brown, you trade 2 first-round picks for Laramie Tunsil. And now that first-round pick is the 3rd pick in the draft. So some talent that you could have been getting to surround him to keep Dwayne Brown, you wasted that, and you go out and spend 2 firsts and maybe a 2nd-round pick to get Laramie Tunsil. Yep. Now you're $20 million over the projected cap, and the cap is going down. So what help? If I'm not mistaken, William Fuller IV is suspended for the first 3 or 4 games next year. So now
I'm not sure how many games it is.
Because it was 6 games, and I think he's got at least a couple to serve in the 2021 season.
Yep.
But if I'm Deshaun, Skip, I stick my ground, because there have been some things that's been said that they would, talk to him about certain things, and that didn't come true. He wanted them to interview Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy is on the bye week. They don't call him. They find out he's frustrated. "Oh, EB, we want to talk to you." No, you don't. You just want to do that. You try to, because I'm upset now. I believe it's going to end bad for the Houston Texans. I believe Deshaun Watson. I say there is an 85% chance Deshaun Watson is under center for someone else next year other than the Houston Texans.
Really?
Yes.
So that phrase, which I don't really love, stand your ground, but in this context, it's going to mean trade me?
Yeah.
And if they don't, he will not report?
No, I don't think he won't do that. The one thing, I don't really know him that well, but I know he'll be professional. He'll always be professional. He'll come in and he'll do his thing. But behind the scenes, he's let it known. This is the way you want to do business. This is the way I don't want to be a part of the way you do business. I want to move forward. Because it's been reported, now we don't know how true this is, Skip, that the research firm recommended Louis Riddick and the Khan, I think, from Pittsburgh.
Omar Khan, yeah.
And they went on their own and said, "No, we want this guy." 2
minority candidates were recommended.
Yes.
And Omar Khan was number 1, Louis Riddick number 2.
Correct.
And they said, no, Nick Caserio.
Correct.
Who is a friend of another guy, Easterby, who's been there for a couple of years.
Right.
And it sounds like a crony hire.
Correct.
Okay?
And so basically, and to get him to New England, you probably played him more to pry him from New England than you were going to pay the 2 minority candidates that you wouldn't have to overpay to get. But that just goes to show you. And that's the problem that they have. And this is why I believe Deshaun Watson should stand his ground. Because Deshaun, they're always going to do what's in the best interest of them. They felt that this guy from New England was the best interest for them, fit their profile. Now you need to fit your profile. What's in the best interest long-term for Deshaun Watson? And I believe getting up out of Houston would be the best of long-term. And if Miami if Miami you think is good, but Skip, if he ever got the 49ers, and there's no question in my mind, they would give up Jimmy Garoppolo in the 9th pick or whatever pick they have, and maybe next year's pick. Deshaun Watson within 2 years will be the MVP of the NFL in that offense.
I hear you. But again, stand your ground exactly how. What is your plan if you're going to be above board and you're going to be the opposite of James Harden, who is obviously trying to eat his way and not play his way out of Houston? How can Deshaun force their hand? How can he do it if he's going to show up on time and continue to play to the best of his capabilities?
They haven't set a timetable of when the OTAs are going to start or when training camp or mini camps and things of that nature start. But here's the thing, Skip. You know when you get a new hire, you normally get 3 mini camps. What if he said, "Nah, I'm good"?
Okay, well, there you go. So he wouldn't show up on time.
Only thing I really got to be there for is the training camp.
Okay.
Other than that, hey, do what y'all need to do. But behind the scenes, he makes it very clear to them, I want out. You guys want to operate on a different set of rules than what, you told me you would, you keep me, and you went and did this thing on your own. All so right. I'm going to keep you in the loop,
and
but
what
I want to go.
If they respond to you, Deshaun, we just paid you a ton of money. It's second most to Patrick Mahomes.
You ain't got to worry about that. That's going to be on Miami. That'll be on the 49ers. That'll be on somebody else's payroll.
What if they say, we paid you and we expect you to play with all your heart, mind, and soul? We expect the best of Deshaun, and we're sorry, but you're going to play for us.
And you know what, Cal? I expected the best of you. I expected you to keep me in the loop. And so since you didn't keep me in the loop, this is what I feel. I just feel that this is the best for both of us. And as the word Jeffrey Lurie used when he fired Doug Peterson, I feel it's in the best interest of both parties to go their separate ways. Deshaun says, I feel it's in the best interest of both parties to go their separate ways.
Okay, and you're talking about Cal McNair.
Correct.
Who is the son of the late owner of the Houston Texans.
That is correct.
Who set a tone in that franchise that wasn't exactly socially and racially progressive,
right?
Dare I say?
Correct.
Right? What was his infamous remark? And again, it was just to the other owners, but it leaked out, right? And it was about, we're not going to let the inmates run the prison, not the asylum, but the prison.
Correct.
Whew. Okay.
So that's how you look at that deal.
And that's why Dwayne Brown said, I want out. And they said, okay, we will get you up out of here. Yes. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So
you trade Dwayne Brown, you leave him unprotected. Then you trade D-Hop.
Who was at odds with Bill O'Brien, then the coach. And not only was he the coach, he was also the
general manager.
And he said, I'm going to basically give you away to Arizona. I'm going to make Kyler Murray's year by giving you to Kyler Murray.
Yes.
For David Johnson, and there was another later round pick. Interesting.
Protection and arguably the best receiver at the time, one of the top 2 or 3 receivers in all of football. Nah, we good.
I don't love Deshaun's chances of getting out here. And again, NBA versus NFL.
Yeah.
Players sort of run the league in basketball. Players do not run the league in pro football.
Not even close.
Do I love, again, I'm the biggest Deshaun Watson fan, and I do love his football character, but he could also turn that backbone of his against his team, and he could just say that there's only one way out now that you signed your contract, and that would be, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to play.
I don't think Deshaun will ever make it publicly. He would just prefer to handle things behind the scene. And, he don't want to be in a situation where I let it be known. My representatives and people in my camp have let it be known to them, I think it's best for me to play elsewhere and get what you can. I mean, if Miami is willing to give you Tua in the 3rd pick of the draft, if the 49ers are willing to give you Garoppolo in the 9th pick, and somebody might be willing to give you 2 first-round picks because that's a franchise quarterback skill.
Okay, but if I am Houston, the one that would appeal the most to me is if Jacksonville said, we will give you Trevor Lawrence, because then I could start fresh with a franchise quarterback, a can't-miss prospect who, since he was like a junior in high school, everybody said that's going to be the first pick in the draft. Well, if you could start fresh and sell Trevor Lawrence to your fan base, that would be a way to replace Deshaun Watson.
And that's great, because you remember what they did to Warren Moon. Warren Moon is in Houston, and they replaced him with some guy from Baylor. I forget his name, Cody Carlson.
Yeah.
That might.
Was that for Warren Moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So although it's a different franchise, they made that move. So for me, if I'm Deshaun's like, nah, if I'm Deshaun, I'm just telling you how I'm thinking. After you said that you would keep me in the loop, and then you do things and you didn't keep me in the loop.
Okay. So I think Deshaun Watson will prove to be better than Trevor Lawrence going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm Jacksonville, I would do that deal in a heartbeat, but Deshaun's heart would have to be in playing for Jacksonville, and I think there are a lot of pieces left in that cupboard.
Yeah, and Skip, when you look at Houston, okay, they have no first or second round pick. They're $20 million over the cap.
Yeah. So
how do you get better? I just want to know, how do you get better, Skip? If we already over budgeted, and we got no first or second round draft pick, how do I get better, Skip? What am I going to spend?
What would be funny is if the deal were about done with Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence said, I'm not going to play in Houston.
Right.
Right? No, I'm out. That would be the ultimate irony of this.
They're going to have to change the way they're thinking, this way of thinking, well, I'm going to do things my way. And I just think the thing is that there are some things that's happened in that organization that the minority players are not happy with.
No.
And, you could like, hey, this is okay.
There's stench coming from this.
Yes.
To me.
And like I said, I don't really know Deshaun, Skip, but for him to kind of take this kind of a stance. So, Skip, you're talking about a guy that's going into I think his 5th year. To take this kind of stance, something has been on his mind. Something has been transpiring behind the scenes that hasn't gotten out. That makes him say, you know what? Yeah, it's better for me to move. Because where there's smoke, there's fire here. Now, this ain't no just all of a sudden out of the blue. And ain't nobody on neither side have shot it down to say, no, Deshaun Watson has not said this, or Deshaun Watson has. Neither the Texans or Deshaun. Nobody shot it down, Skip. So that means there's a lot of validity into what's going on here.
Yep. It's a sorry situation for Deshaun Watson. He deserves better.
Yep.
I'm just not sure how he's going to extricate himself from this situation in the confines of the National Football League.
Yeah, I know, Skip, but sometimes you might have to get dirty to get clean.
Well, maybe.
So you might have to have people say some bad things about you, and the Houston fan base never like you again. It might have to be a situation like your Art Modell. He could never go back to Cleveland.
Yep.
But he got up out there into a better situation than Baltimore.
He did.
You might have to be like that to get up out of there and get to a better situation other than Houston.
Okay, but they already did you dirty, so fair is fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What was the quote there, Shannon? Get dirty to stay clean?
Yeah, get dirty to get clean.
Okay.
You clean it up. Sometimes that's all right. I'm going to get a little dirty.
I hear you.
Well, it's fight fire with fire.
Yeah, they're going to be nasty.
Okay, good to know.
No mercy.
Lamar Jackson and the Ravens take on the Bills in Buffalo on Saturday night, and Lamar admitted he's concerned over the weather. There is a 40% chance of snow that could be up to an inch Saturday night. And when asked about how much he's played in the snow, Lamar said, quote, 0. Saturday would be my first time playing football in the snow. If it does, hopefully it don't. So, Shannon, would snow help or hurt Lamar?
I think it helps him because he knows where he's going, Skip. They're a power running team. They'll throw the ball, but even if you throw the ball, hey, I know where I'm going. And you've seen guys, when they play in the snow, how they put up those big numbers. And so I think it helps Lamar for the simple fact they're a power running team. And Buffalo struggles against the run. So the last thing you want to do is take a false step and be a step slower in your gap of where you should be than where you need to be. And so I think it helps Lamar. Like Lamar said, I think it's the unknown. He's like, man, I've never played in snow before. What's my footing going to be like? You're going to be just fine. Just go play your game. You see if it's there, take it. If it's not, step on the gas and get going. And so I think it's going to actually help him. It also, this kid, Josh Allen, Skip, he played in Wyoming. It snowed all the time in Wyoming. And he's this is why you sign a guy like that, Skip, is because he has the type of arm that he neutralizes the elements. So if it's cold, he can throw through that. If it's windy, he can throw through that. The snow, the rain, he has an arm that can neutralize that. Now, he was their leading rusher, and if I'm not mistaken, they lost Zach Moss. They signed Devontae Freeman to the practice squad. So he'll probably be active because the only guy they have is Devin Singletary, 5'7", 203. Really not the type of guy that's going to plow and move the pile if that type of game. But Buffalo going to do what they do. They're going to throw the football. But when I look at Lamar, I think Lamar Jackson will be just fine. Just go play football. Don't worry about the elements.
So he said all he's done is, in the snow is throw snowballs because when he went to Louisville, obviously growing up in Miami, he saw his first snow, but they didn't play in it. It was more off-season snow where he just threw snowballs.
Right.
So at least he knows what it feels like to have been in it. And obviously it gets really cold, as you know, in Baltimore. So it's not like he hasn't played in cold weather coming from Miami, right?
Yes.
Okay, I despise snow games because it uglies up the game of football to the point you almost can't recognize it. And the classic one that I covered was that Leon Lett game, Thanksgiving Day, Miami at Dallas, 1993, was it?
Yeah.
And
But Skip, you should expect that. You remember the Super Bowl was in Dallas a couple of years, 2011?
Yeah.
2011. And the snow came
all week. And but that game was indoors at
but it basically shut the city down.
It did shut the city down, but that came really early because that was on Thanksgiving. It came out of nowhere. A norther blows through with it, a lot of blizzardy type snow. Not that they had a blizzard, but it felt like it snowed like blizzard kind of snow that day, all day, and it uglied up the game. Okay, which was at old Texas Stadium with the hole in the roof, right? And Leon Lett, as people remember, tried to recover a block kick and pushed it into the end zone.
Pushed it closer for the field goal.
Right. Okay. So I hate snow games for that reason because especially at this level of playoff football, you want to see it played fair is fair on a level playing field.
You saw what Aaron Rodgers did in the snow, did you? You was all what he did.
Well, they're hoping it snows like cats and dogs, right? Because they love the snow. But they love just the serious cold. Where, as Devontae Adams said the other day, it's so cold you can't even speak. And it's hard on the visiting team because they don't know that kind of cold usually. Okay? So I agree with you. What I've always been taught in this game is in snow, if you know where you're going, you have a huge advantage. Because the defense has to react, and they're not sure of their footing. And so they're more prone to slip than you are because at least you can kind of pick and choose
I know
your
I'm about to break here. So now, exactly right.
Are you going to slip and slide a little bit? You are, but not as bad as the defense will. So I would say Lamar would end up loving playing in the snow. And it's not like they're a bombs-away passing attack. You can still throw it in the snow, and the receivers know where they're going, so they're harder to cover. And their passing game is a little more of a controlled possession-type passing game.
It's a lot of zone. It's a lot of, RPO skip, hit the flat. Or, hit the little shallow cross or hit the tight end.
Hit 6'6" Mark Andrews, right?
I did not know the fullback weighed 311 pounds.
He does.
Ricard.
Yep.
I'm looking at him like, he was pretty big. But 311, Skip, 311 running flat routes. They throw it to him down the field.
He's pretty athletic.
Yes.
No, I agree.
Somebody go pay him. He's a free agent, too, if I'm not mistaken.
That was a stroke of genius to turn. He was a defensive lineman. They turned him into a fullback.
See, Skip, we can find a place for you. If you can play, they find a place.
Nobody has found places for people better than Baltimore has over the, it's sort of the Ozzie Newsome way. I see that in him. We can do that with him.
But you got to be willing to accept that. Because sometimes, Skip, you get set in your head, I'm this. And if I can't play this, I don't want to play anything. Dude say, for a chance to stay in the NFL, make me some money, retire, be set, okay. I want to play defensive. I want to sack the quarterback, but I run into some people. I catch a few passes.
Okay. So while I agree that Lamar would be just fine, to your point, so would Josh Allen. So they would have the advantage when they have the ball. This is why you call it home field advantage. And at this time of year, Buffalo and Green Bay are going to have huge home field advantages, especially if it snows.
Because the likelihood, Skip, of you getting 80 and sunny in Buffalo and Green Bay in January is next to nil. You're more apt to get what you're going to get on a Saturday, and guess what, Skip? It's Saturday night. So you don't even have the sun to get it like 5 or 6 degrees warmer than what it would be. You're going to be at night. I think Green Bay is late afternoon, too.
It's like at 4:30 Eastern time, so it'd be 3:30 there. Is that right? I think that's right. And the point is, it's probably dark at 3:30.
Is that early in the game? It's a 4:30 game there, right? It's 4:30. It's 1:30 our time, 4:30 there?
It's 4:30 East, I believe. Wouldn't it be 3:30 in Green Bay? I don't know.
Yes. They central. So East Central
But
Mountain.
my point is the sun's probably
Yeah, it's starting to go
about
down. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So that's going to feel like a night game, even though there's a real night game after that game.
It's a late afternoon.
Yeah.
You would prefer the game, be 1 o'clock. At least I get a little sun, Skip.
Yep.
Gets nothing.
Well, I'm with Lamar in this. I hope it don't snow because I don't want to watch it in snow. I know a lot of people, like casual fans, love to watch them slip and slide in the snow because it's crazy fun.
But Skip,
it's fun for all the wrong reasons.
But the ugly game favors who? Baltimore. That's what you want, Skip. That power running team, you wanted to be mucked up.
I got it. Yeah. But you just can't even recognize the game of football, and I don't want to watch that.
Yeah.
That's just me.
All I want to be able to do is recognize the scoreboard at the end of the game, and we got more points than they do.
Okay.
If I can look up, it's like, man, it's snowing really bad. Oh, yeah, but we won. Okay.
Okay. Well, here we go. I think Lamar will be just fine.
So do I.
Here we go. And I would much prefer sno to rain. Let me just say, I feel like rain complicates things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In a lot of ways, the snow it has that look.
No mercy.
After the Seahawks' quick exit from the playoffs, they announced yesterday that they would be parting ways with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer due to, quote, philosophical differences. After the Seahawks lost to the Rams, Pete Carroll made it clear that the Seahawks needed to focus more on running the ball effectively to set up their passing game for Russell Wilson, something he didn't feel like Seattle did well in the second half of the season. So, Shannon, how much is Russ to blame for this move?
Russ got a lot of the blame. Skip, each of the past 3 seasons, the first half MVP has been Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Each of the year Patrick Mahomes won it, at the halfway point, Russ was in the lead. Last year when Lamar Jackson won it, Russ was in the lead.
He was.
This year, Russ was in the lead.
Good point.
And all he patting, let Russ cook. Well, Russ burned the damn groceries. That's what Russ did. Call it like you see it. Man, we got to stop blaming all these coaches for everything. Russ failed. When you look at this, you look at what he did. Yeah. Now, he talking about they need to run the ball. Seattle was 6th in rushing average, 4.8 a carry. They was 12th in rushing yards, 123. But what about those interceptions? Russ threw 9 interceptions in those 5 losses.
Yep.
And a lot of them were horrible. Threw another one last week. DK Metcalf had to call 1,300 yards, which was the most in Seattle history.
Yep.
Tyler Lockett had 100 catches, the most in Seattle history. So we just gonna blame Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer ain't gonna get no credit. He get all the blame. He let Russ cook. Russ burned the dinner. That's what he did. Call it what it is, Skip. Russ didn't play well each of the last 3 second halves. Russ gonna have to show that he can win a playoff game without the Legion of Boom intact.
Yep.
And he hasn't played well in none of the playoff games. Go back and look at the Dallas game. He didn't play well.
He played okay, but he didn't play MVP standard.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Look at this year.
Yep.
In this playoff game, did he play well?
No, it was his worst.
So at some point in time,
He's lost 3 of his last 4, and what was the one he won at Philadelphia when Carson Wentz got hurt in like 3 plays, right?
Yes.
Remember?
That was it. At some point in time, I understand Russ is a great guy. Been around him a couple of times, but we're going to have to play some criticism. We're going to have to start critiquing him like we do these other quarterbacks because he wants to be considered one of these franchise quarterbacks. Well, you can't get all credit like a franchise quarterback with no blame like a franchise quarterback. Russ has got to bear a lot of the responsibility on this failed season and these failed seasons because I thought Brian Schottenheimer did a great job of putting Russ in position. Russ was the MVP 3 first halves, and for whatever reason, the interception rate went up, the turnovers went up, and they went down.
So remember the preseason top 100 voted upon by the NFL players?
Yes.
Remember what happened at the top as they were about to unveil 2 and then 1?
Right.
They had, I think, Jerry Rice, some other ex-players making the case that Russell Wilson is the best player in this league.
Right.
And he was sort of 1A because he was number 2 to Lamar, who was number 1. Patrick Mahomes was like 4th behind Aaron Donald at 3.
Yes.
Okay. I say going into next year when they vote, I don't think Russell's going to be vying for number 1.
Right.
He's going to be lucky to be in the top 5. But his first half this year was number 1.
Yes.
He was the best. And this offense was by far the best offense for half a year.
Right.
Well, that's pretty great, right? Then what happened? I can't quite put my finger on it, but he just didn't play very well. And I thought Pete Carroll had the most interesting and I think sort of pertinent theory was that we threw so deep, so successfully, so often through the first 8-9 games that teams started to play us deeper and deeper, saying, we will not let you have this anymore. And they kept trying to beat you deep. And he said, we had things underneath, but they just try to bleed us and make us have to throw the ball underneath, which they don't do very patiently and successfully.
Skip, the ball is in the quarterback's hand. Skip, I call a play. Now, the play is meant to go deep. And what Tom Brady understands, well, hell, I ain't finna keep throwing to Mike Evans and get this ball picked. Let me take Leonard Fournette in the flat. Let me take this tight end on the shallow. Let me take this underneath stuff. Okay, Russ.
Well, why is Tom Brady the GOAT? Because he did a whole lot of that.
Skip, we watched him on Sunday night. Remember that game against Arizona?
Yeah.
When Russ kept throwing interceptions, that game was 4-1. And he threw interception after interception after interception. And then we see what happened. The Giants go up there and beat the brakes off him.
They did. Yep.
So we saw what Russ did in Buffalo. Interception after interception. Come on now.
Close game, though.
Yes.
And by the way, the bottom line was still pretty good. They went 12-4 and they won the West.
Yes.
Okay.
12, Skip, just think about this. The guy went 12-4, had Russ in the MVP conversation every single year, and the man lose his job. Russ had his best 3 years.
And then he posted about Brian Schottenheimer, and they were very, very close, according to this social post.
Yeah.
Shotty, he called him, so grateful for how much you mean to me. God blessed me with you. We won a lot of games, threw a lot of touchdowns, had a blast in meetings and our Bible studies. Best days are ahead for you. Well, it is almost like you needed one more line of, I'm sorry I did this to you, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I couldn't live up to what you did for me, right? Because in the end, the ball's in his hands. And I believe the whole idea of let Russ cook, that he tried to live up to that by trying to throw it farther and farther. And remember, against the Rams the other day, he was 11 for 27, had his worst QBR in a playoff game of 18, but he made one hellacious great throw, rolling to his left,
hit DK.
And DK got behind the safety. Well, that was vintage Russell Wilson.
I think look, their running back situation, Skip, has been flux. I mean, the guys can't stay healthy. Chris Carson's been nicked up. I think Carlos Hyde is also there. He's been nicked up. But
their run game was consistently decent.
Yeah,
it was decent. Yeah.
They need a tight end.
Well, and Greg Olsen, remember, maybe that's the key to the demise, was Greg Olsen got hurt at midseason. They put him on IR, and he came back late and did nothing.
No.
And he's our guy here at Fox. And will this be the end of that? Yep. Yeah. He'll come to us, right? Okay.
The other guy, Skip, no. They need a tight end. They need a tight end that can handle the underneath stuff, the shallow cross, the mid-level stuff. So that way, and plus, I understand DK is fast and big, but you don't always have to throw it to him deep, Skip. I understand that, once he gets ahead of steam and he's not the greatest route runner because a man that size, it takes a lot for him to decelerate and to get in and out of breaks.
Yep.
But Skip, you got to run something other than post and go routes with him.
Yep. And the one quote-unquote short pass that Russ threw the other day was the sort of wide receiver screen pass. Yeah. And
he got ready.
Gone.
Yeah. But see, if you study, okay, I'm looking at the sideline. I see the guy get frustrated. Oh, they're going to try to get him the ball. They're probably going to try to get him the ball here. Now, in this formation, they're probably going to run the screen. They like to run, boom.
Boom.
I mean, Skip, that's what you do. You look for tendencies. A receiver getting upset of that caliber. What do they normally try to do, Skip, on the next possession? We got to try to get him the ball. They're probably going to try to get him the ball here. Now, what do they like to run in this situation?
They don't have any dink and dunk to their passing attack.
You got to have that. The thing that makes Kansas City so spectacular, Skip, not that they can hit you, is Kelsey working all the underneath stuff.
He does.
So now, okay.
He's the best at it.
Yes. He's running shallows. He's running out routes. He's running the basic cross. Okay.
A lot of option routes.
Yes.
They're on such a great wavelength. I know you're going to go right or left on the whichever way they play.
He handles all that underneath stuff, and he let the speed guys, okay, y'all just want to back up out of there? Okay, I'm going to take Kelsey one-on-one with your linebacker or your safety, and I'm going to eat you up. And then once you drop that guy down to try to double him, I'm going to hit Tyreek, I'm going to hit Hardman over the top. And plus, Sammy Watkins also works a lot of underneath stuff. So you got to have levels to this. Be able to take the short, the intermediate, and the over the top. You just can't go bombs over Baghdad every play, Skip. I understand you want to cook, Russ, but hey, sometimes you got to bring that thing to, you got to let it simmer. You just can't just throw it in the pot. It's done.
Yep. So you go 12-4, and your coordinator is axed, right? When have you ever seen that?
Hey, Skip, they might have fired him at midseason if he didn't have the record that he had. I don't really know what Brian Shaw, I was like, I don't know what else I can do. At one point in time, I was antiquated because I was ground and pound.
Yep.
I'm ground and pound because my quarterback was Mark Sanchez. We had an outstanding defense, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to run it. We're going to pound you into the dirt running the football. We're going to bludgeon you with our defense.
And by the way, his father was known for ground and pound.
Oh,
Marty.
yeah,
You
Marty
played
Ball.
against
I
him,
did,
right?
I did.
Marty Ball.
Marty Ball.
So it was like father, like son.
Yes.
But then he gets here, and it's like bombs over Baghdad.
You got a different set of circumstances, Skip. Now, all of a sudden, I got Russ. Yes, I'm going to run the football, but I got a guy that can make the plays in the backfield. Marty really never had a quarterback in Cincinnati. He had Christian Okoye. He had guys. So he was just looking to run the football and play great defense.
In Kansas City,
when he was in Kansas City. Same thing when he was in Cleveland, Skip. Remember, he had Ernest Byner and Kevin Mack, and he wanted to run the football and play deep, get out there with the dog pound. With the dog pound in the crowd, and Clay Matthews, the senior. But I don't think Brian Schottenheimer should have lost his job in this situation. Okay, Pete, you got to do some soul searching too. Now, what do you need to do?
Good question.
Because there are some games that you lost that Russ played well early, and your defense gave up 1 trillion yards.
Yeah, obviously the expectations there were to go much farther.
No mercy.
All right, guys, looking forward to this Saturday on Fox. The Rams take on the Packers. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern. Then on Sunday, Tom Brady and the Bucs square off with Drew Brees and the Saints at 6 Eastern. The NFL Divisional Playoffs presented by TurboTax Live on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Well, Brady will have his shot at revenge in that one after playing what most consider the worst game of his career against New Orleans Week 9. Brady threw 3 picks in the 38-3 loss and had a QBR of only 5.9. We're now joined by former All-Pro quarterback Antonio Cromartie. That performance, Crow, we talked plenty about it when it happened, but how much better will Brady be Sunday night in New Orleans?
I think he'll be a lot better. And I say that because when you're looking at this Tom Brady team from Week 9, even from Week 1, I think it's gotten a whole lot better. I think everyone is starting to know their role and understand what they have to do to be successful in this offense with Tom Brady. I think the receivers are on the same page now. They are understanding what Tom Brady wants from them, and it just shows since that Week 9 matchup that they're being able to get on the same page and be where they need to be and where Tom Brady needs to be also.
So with a 6 QBR, can he be any worse? Can they be any worse? A QBR 6 and 3 interceptions. I mean, you told me he's going to be better. Can he be worse, Crow?
Nah, I hope not.
the thing what we've seen from Tom Brady this year is that no matter the level of competition, when teams can pressure him, he's looked very average. And when they can't pressure him, he's looked like Tom Brady, the historically great quarterback that he is. The one team that's been a bad matchup for him, because they're in the same division, has been the New Orleans Saints, because they can pressure him with 4 and they don't have to compromise their back end. And even when they bring that extra guy, they feel comfortable leaving Marshawn Lattimore one-on-one with Mike Evans. Jack Rabbit take either Godwin or AB. They like their matchups in the secondary. And they like that front 4 being able to put relentless pressure. They hit him from the opening gun until they finally called the dogs off when Tom Brady went out of the ball game. But if they can still generate that kind of pressure, yes, Tom Brady has played better the last 5 weeks, but none of the teams that he's played better against, with the exception of the Washington football team, has the type of pressure, relentless pressure, that applied to him like the Saints can apply the pressure. Detroit is not applying pressure. Minnesota, Carolina, the Falcons twice. Let's be real, Crow. The teams that he's faced and put up these big numbers against aren't on the level of the New Orleans Saints. So although I believe he can't be worse than what he was, I mean, people expect him to come out there and throw for 450. I don't see that happening.
Shannon, but you got to think about this, though, Shannon. It's the playoffs. You know everybody plays different in the playoffs. No matter how you look at it, everybody comes in with a different mindset because it's either win or go home. Yeah. And I think when you're looking at the whole entire picture of what we're trying to do and what they're trying to do, I think that when Tom Brady comes out, it's going to be a physical ball game. I mean, you're seeing Leonard Fournette run the ball like he's never had before in the last 2 years. So you got to take that into consideration and see how things are going to go also.
But you make it seem like only the Tampa Bay is going to play with a sense of urgency. Only Tampa Bay is going to play with a certain new level of physicality. What do you think the Saints are bringing to the table? They realize that they wanted this. This is why they brought Drew Brees back early. They felt the division slipping away. They didn't want to have this game in Tampa, Skip, even though the fan level, they wanted this game in New Orleans. So they brought Drew back early for this very moment. And they know this is going to be, if they lose this game, this is Drew Brees' last game. They laid it all on the line because they don't want this to be Drew Brees' last game. He came back for one reason. He didn't come back for the end of the divisional round. He came back to be in Tampa. And so I expect for Tampa to play better, but I also expect New Orleans to play better.
So speaking of crow, that is what you're going to have to eat next Monday.
Okay.
After Tom Brady, I don't have any energy.
Oh,
I'm speaking matter of factly. Okay. Because you are making the case to me that what Tom Brady has done over the last 5 games is completely overrated because he has faced nothing but sorry pass defenses. Earlier in the show, you laid it all out.
Am I lying?
Okay? You're not, but you're missing the point and the boat on this because obviously this is the first time around for this whole group together. And it took a while because at 6-2, they threw Antonio Brown, who has a huge aura and personality and mystique about him. Yeah. They tried to force feed him into their rotation against New Orleans after 2 practices on that Sunday night. Yeah. And it was the worst beatdown of the year in pro football, given who it was against who it was.
Skip, that's like me going to Brass Pro Shop and fishing in the stock pond and catching the fish and say, man, I'm doing a hell of a job. I should be able to do it. The pond is stocked. He should be able to put up those numbers against those sorry behind defenses. Go out there.
Okay. But obviously, if you'd never used that rod and reel before and you had to try to figure out on the, so to speak, fly, how do I work this? Tom Brady had all new teammates, all new coaching staff, and it was hit and miss for a long time until finally they hit their bye week. And it wasn't until December 6th. And in the 2 weeks, they said, let's fix this. And they have launched out of the bye week. I'm seeing play action. I'm seeing pre-snap motion.
I'm seeing bad defenses.
Okay, that's fine. I'm glad you saw it because they needed to play bad defenses.
Why?
So they could figure it out. They needed to regain their confidence after Tom Brady had a QBR of 6. It was the worst game he has ever played in his career.
Think about what you just said, Skip. You said Tom Brady, the GOAT, needed to play bad defenses. We've never said that about anybody of the historically great. They need to play bad teams to get their confidence back.
Because he's a Buccaneer. He joined the Succaneers, the worst franchise in all of sports in winning percentage for its history. He said, I'll take that 7-9 team and I'll take it to the playoffs.
You told me at the beginning of the year, the Pro Football Focus ranked the Tampa Bay Buccaneer receiving corps the best group in all the football. That's what you told me.
I didn't tell you that. Pro Football Focus told
so you keep saying the sorry Succaneers, but he went to a team that had the best receiving corps.
Well, they had the highest graded receivers because 2 of them made the Pro Bowl. Did they make the Pro Bowl this year?
No.
No, they didn't because he taught them.
Did Tom make the Pro Bowl this year?
He should have.
No,
yes, he should have made it over Kyler Murray. You know it and I know it.
No, I don't know nothing.
Oh, stop it.
No, I don't know anything.
Did he play better than Kyler Murray did this year?
That's
yes.
That's not what the players said. That's not what the fans thought. That's not what the coaches and general
managers. The voting's in like 4 weeks before the season's over, and I don't get that, but whatever.
Oh, look,
if they let it finish to the last regular season game.
They do that with the All-Star games and football and basketball. They don't wait to the end of the season.
My pet peeve. If you had waited, if you had held the vote after the regular season ended, Tom Brady would have been the 3rd NFC quarterback on the Pro Bowl roster. You know it, and I know it. Yeah. So what happened right before your very eye-testing eyes is They clicked, they gelled against, I'll give you, bad competition, this sorry competition.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they took off. And they went to Washington, and they hung 507 yards on a defense that hasn't remotely given up that many yards all year.
Yeah.
A defense ranked third, graded third by Pro Football Focus going into that game, that wild card game last Saturday night. That was impressive to me. And Chris Godwin dropped 3 balls, or it would have been a whole lot more yards. Tom Brady was spectacular in that game, the way he's been down the stretch. They're going to go to New Orleans with supreme newfound confidence they did not have back on that fateful Sunday night at Tampa Bay.
Well, we got Crow back, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you believe the Saints will have newfound confidence knowing that we've beaten them twice and we can beat them again?
I think they could be a little overconfident because I think they're going to see and feel, and I mean feel, a different physicality and a different confidence on offense from Tom Brady's offense. Go ahead, Carl.
I don't think it's just about the confidence that the Saints going to bring into it. I think they understand they're a division opponent. So when you're looking at the whole entire situation, they know them and they know each other. So now I think the newfound confidence is actually coming from Tampa because they feel like they're on the same page. If you look at Week 9, they wasn't on the same page. There was routes, short routes that he was throwing picks on. People stopping on their routes, especially the one to Antonio Brown. The missed throw on, he's trying to scramble and throw the ball away, through the interception to Malcolm Jenkins, the tip ball, the interception on the screen route to, I think it was Jones or either Fournette. But you got to think with Tom Brady needs a running game. And when the running game is not working, the passing game is not going to work also. So when you can actually get the Jones and also Fournette running the ball well, I think that's going to open up underneath the routes. When you get Antonio Brown, you can get Godwin underneath throws, what they was doing against the Washington Redskins to get the ball down the field. You got to think, Mike Evans came into this game injured, still had 6 catches, 116 yards, and he wasn't even 100%. And you saw that even after every single catch. So he wasn't even trying to run the ball down the field after every single catch.
Let me ask you a question, Crow. Which one of those corners do you say is comparable to Lattimore and Jackrabbit in Washington secondary?
Neither. I don't. Neither.
Right now, I've said this before the game. Any secondary that Ronald Darby's in is torchable. Mm-hmm. But if you look at this, Crow, and all those interceptions that we're showing the montage right now, what do we see Tom Brady under? Relentless pressure. And as long as they can generate that, it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what those receivers do. If you can generate that kind of pressure. They're gonna be.
What you got, like I said before earlier, after we talked about this after Week 9, the biggest thing is it's that time clock that goes off in your head as a defensive back, knowing that the front four can get to him. But it's the same thing that went on in Washington. We said that the front four from Washington can get to him, and they barely even touched him. So it's like, what's the passing game and what's the scheme going to be like up front that Bruce Arians and Brian Leftwich can put up to make sure the offensive line protects Tom Brady to the utmost.
The line, I thought Washington football team's defensive line, although they have higher profile players, I think the Saints front four are better because they're just better. I understand Chase Young was a second pick in the draft. You have Payne, you have Allen, you have Sweat, you have Kerrigan, but that front four of the Saints, they're more relentless, maybe because of the back end. And they know they get an extra step. But I'm anxious to see, and I agree with you, I'm anxious to see what's going to be the move and the counter move for each team. Because you know New Orleans want to pressure with their front four. Okay, what is Tampa going to do? Are they going to come out because I thought they tried to establish the run to slow Washington down. Because the quickest way to slow a pass rush down is to make them think, oh, man, he might hand this ball off. I got to stay in here. And then that's the extra time that Tom Brady needs to throw the football. So, hey.
But Shannon, what else can you do to a front four like that? Get the ball out what?
You got to get it out quick. Screen them, too.
You got to get it out quick.
And Tom is great at the screen game.
Yeah, so, and that's one thing that can slow it down.
Shannon Sharp.
Yes.
Tom Brady, in that last game at home against the New Orleans defense, was under pressure 46% of the snaps. Think about that. That's got to be like the most of the NFL year. It's almost half the snaps somebody is on you, right?
Yeah.
You're under fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so what percent of the snaps do you think he'll be under fire, under pressure Sunday at New Orleans?
It needs to be at least that. I'm gonna say.
I'm gonna give him 40.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. 40.
You think he'll be under pressure 40% of the time?
Yeah.
If that's true,
100%.
New Orleans will win this game easily.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's not the most mobile guy to begin with.
Right.
Right?
I mean, there are very few guys that can be under that kind of pressure and win a ball game.
Okay, so give me, I need 10 points. I will take Brady and 10 right now. Well, you said he's going to be under pressure 40% of the time.
But you hold on. You just said he's played historically great the last 5 games. Give me those.
I didn't say historically great. I just said really well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, give me 10 points then.
And you said he was overrated.
He played, there you go.
Well, you did.
I did not say that, Skip.
I
said he played bad defenses.
Oh, well then what he did was overrated, said Shannon Sharp.
But so can I get 10 points?
You are scared to death of Tom Brady.
Skip.
That's the problem. In the end, you're scared to death
of him. If you so sure
you know he's the GOAT, and you know
give me 10 points.
He might do goatish things.
Give me 10 points
Stop
then.
it.
Give me 10.
Yeah.
I don't want 10. Give me 7. Give me 7 right now.
Oh. You got to give me at least 3 because that's the spread.
No. You ain't get no points, Skip.
Antonio, you're egging him on today. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you for your time.
No mercy. Back down.
Well, James Harden scored only 16 points last night as the Rockets fell to 3-6 in a blowout loss to the LA Lakers. After the game, Harden said the Rockets are just not good enough. He then went on to say, quote, "This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed." Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard is with us now. Chris, I was looking forward to your take here. Is James Harden about to successfully force his way out of Houston?
Jen, look, I gave James Harden the benefit of the doubt. I thought that he would play hard and he would play well despite wanting to be traded. I thought that his desire to live up to his reputation as one of the best players in the world would drive him. I thought the desire to score 30 points a night, which has to be fun, would drive him to play well. And I was wrong. James Harden has thrown in the towel. He has given up the ghost. He is playing at half speed. His last 5 games, 4 of them were losses. He's averaged 17 points on less than 38% shooting. And here's the most telling stat. He's gone to the free throw line fewer than 5 times a game. This is a guy that over the last 8 years has averaged 10 to 11 free throw attempts a game. So that shows you he is just not trying. And look, I thought because Harden would play hard that Houston could slow play this thing. But now, look, you got to hold out for a good deal. But the bottom line is you have to trade James Harden sooner rather than later because you cannot let his attitude and apathy poison your locker room and the rest of your franchise. So maybe the urgency now of having to trade James Harden will make a Daryl Morey in Philadelphia say, give up a Ben Simmons, or Denver and Toronto and Miami. They're all struggling. Maybe they'll come up with a good deal, but you may have to lower your expectations a little bit because I didn't see Harden just going in the tank, and that's what he's done. So, yeah, Jen, to answer your question, I think he is about to successfully force his way out of Houston.
Well, you should have known. You saw the way he came back. How you think I gave him the name James Harden? He done had like 10 grand slams. You see the way he looked. I mean, that should have told you. That should have gave us that should have foreshadowed of what was to come, Skip.
The Grand Slams at Hardy's? No,
the Grand Slam that did it. I think Grand Slam that did it.
You mix metaphors.
No, but his last name is Hardy's.
He's eating both of them.
Yeah, when you get that size, you eat a lot of everything, Skip. You didn't eat one thing.
Go ahead.
You eat a lot of everything.
Yeah.
But Shannon,
yes.
he played well his first few games, right? He came out and was James Harden his first
44-17. And Skip, he's going to have to. And I'm with you, Chris. I said, well, he's going to play. They're going to try to get it. They're going to try to move him. But they're going to try to, get the most. It's hard. Even if you trade him, Skip, you're never going to get value. Even though Brandon Ingram is playing well for the Pelicans, he ain't AD. And even though you get some nice pieces, they're not James Harden. James Harden is a generational talent.
Yep.
These guys that can go give you 30 and 10 assists and 50-point triple-doubles and 60-point triple-doubles. These guys don't grow on trees. They don't come around every 10 years.
Yep.
They come along every 20, 30 years. And you got one, and he's unhappy. So and when the guy becomes this, it's one thing to be behind the scenes and have your representative say, I want out. I wish you could accommodate me. But when he said what he said, and even before he said it, his play on the full court. Mm-hmm. James Harden got his foot over the line of quitting. He just hadn't touched down yet. But he's about to, Chris. This is unacceptable. I just believe that you should be professional. I get it sometimes if things don't work out. But James Harden, they've accommodated you at every turn. Everything that you've ever wanted. You want this guy, you got it. You threaten to hold out, you threaten to ask for a trade to get Russ. And then Russ saw your behavior and says, I got to go. You got Chris Paul up out of there. You got Clint Capella up out of there. You got Dwight Howard. Mm-hmm. And now you're in a bind. They got nothing to give. He got all them guys up out of there. Mm-hmm. Now, what can they put around you? Chris, I believe if he were to apply himself, you look at him, John Wall, Christian Wood, Boogie Cousins, and P.J. Tucker, or Gordon in the starting lineup, that's a nice little roster. I'm not saying they can win the West, but they can cause some noise. I don't care what James Harden says or anybody says. They can cause noise. But because he's been so vocal and because the way he's been playing, he wants out, he's checked out, so you got to get him out.
So, Chris, I actually think you were right and then wrong about how James Harden would play this year. He is the shrewdest operator we have ever seen with the ball in his hands and with the plot in his mind, because he had a plot in place here. He came back overweight, to say the least. He's got a gut. And he said, watch this. And in game number 1 at Portland, I started watching it. I made Ernestine watch down the stretch because it went to overtime. It was as spectacular a game as James Harden has played in his career. As you talked about, 44 and 17 assists, and it went to the wire, and C.J. McCollum outgunned James at the end, and Portland won by 2. And he came right back with 34 and then 33, and then he said, you know what? I've done enough to revalidate my value to my trade partners, because he wanted to show them, hey,
still got it.
Even fat, I can do this, right? And he did it. And then to your point, he shut it down. And to Chris's point, he's averaging 17, and he doesn't even go to the free throw line anymore because he is trying to eat his way and half-heart his way right out of Houston. And I believe he's successfully going to do that.
I believe so,
because now, all of a sudden, Houston is more open to making a deal, and maybe Daryl Morey. I don't know where he's going to go. And Chris, I'm going to throw it back to you. What is the most likely destination and deal? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you see?
Well, you just keep hearing about the same teams that have been out there for the past few weeks. I think Philadelphia makes the most sense. I get it. They were playing well with Ben Simmons and Embiid early. They won 7 of their first 8 games, but they hadn't beaten anybody. You look at their schedule, they had only beaten one team that had made the playoffs, and that was Toronto, which was struggling. Now they've lost some games. I know it's because they've lost too many players from COVID and Simmons hadn't been there and all of that stuff. But I think there's a limit on them with Simmons that there isn't with James Harden. I give them a legit chance to win the championship if they had James Harden. And I think when you are that close, you need to go for it because it doesn't come along all the time. So I think Philadelphia makes a lot of sense. You know that Morey's going to get the last chance to get him from Houston with his relationship with Rafael Stone and those guys down there. Miami, Pat Riley, I think Pat Riley, you talk to people that know him around the league, they're like, he's not thinking about what they did in the bubble. He's not satisfied with that. He's not resting on his laurels like, oh, we're building something. He wants to win now, so maybe he'll go ahead and pull the trigger. I mentioned Toronto, but Pascal Siakam hasn't looked very good, although I think he played well in Houston. And even if Harden were to go there with Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet, who are both, guards, I don't think they're a contender. They don't have Serge Ibaka anymore and Marc Gasol. So Denver, I don't see him mixing well with Jokic. So I think there are very few places he could actually go that are realistic. that he could contend for a title. So I think that limits it too. Will he be happy if you send him somewhere? So I think I have to go with Philly as the best spot. Look, if Houston would take Kyrie Irving, and it's hard for me to imagine they will at this point, although Stone really loves Kyrie's game, if I'm Brooklyn, I'd trade Kyrie for him in a heartbeat, but I can't imagine Houston would do that.
But here's the thing, though. You got to run that by KD because KD came to Brooklyn because Kyrie was coming. So, in other words...
You got to run it by Kyrie, too.
And if I'm in Houston, basically you want me to trade a migraine for a toothache. Because that's what I got, Chris.
Well, right.
I mean, what?
See, here's here's where I disagree with you, Shannon. I don't think you have to run it by KD. Now, I was talking to somebody in the league yesterday who, knows KD okay, has a, somewhat of a relationship with him. He said KD would be with it. He just wouldn't want it attached to him.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And look, if I'm the Nets, though, I've got KD locked up for the next 3 years.
Correct.
And as I said about Harden, look, KD's a pro. I think KD is going to be a professional about it. And I think he does have a relationship with Harden, even though it's not what it is with Kyrie. So I don't think that KD would go in the tank. Now, Skip's right. The question is Kyrie. Because, would Kyrie even go to Houston and play?
And no telling. Well, first of all, they don't even know if he's going to come back to Brooklyn and play. So while we talk about him going to Houston and play, they don't know if he's going to come back to Brooklyn and play. But the thing that I look at, Kyrie's game is more compatible to KD's game than James Harden's game and KD's game. Especially now, I get, because everybody keeps saying, man, they played together. But when all these guys played together, and this is what I tried to tell people last year, when Russ and KD and James played together, they were all very different animals. Now, Russ is never going to go, Russ wants to be the center of attention. He ain't about all that, doing this. He got to be his way. James Harden can only play one way. We've only seen James Harden play one way, Chris. And so I don't see how he and KD mix. I don't see how James Harden and Joel Embiid mix. How did that work out?
I think Harden does have the ability to play a different way. And I know you're right. It was before he was a star. He was coming off the bench in Oklahoma City. But my point is, he showed the skills. He can be a facilitator. He is a very good passer. Mike D'Antoni just put him in a system where he was the show. And I think he is showing right now that maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like he really wants to win. He's willing to give up his individual numbers, play like a dog, look horrible, to get someplace where he feels like he can win. And I do think he could play differently. I think he has to be coached, too. I think a coach has to talk to him about it, but I think he's got the skills. He and Embiid in the pick and roll thing, pick and pop even, because Embiid's a decent shooter. I think they'd be tough. So I think those would be two great landing spots for him, Brooklyn or Philadelphia.
Just remember, James Harden has led this league in assists. And even now, while quitting, he's still averaging 10 assists a game. 10 a game. Okay? So now we go back to Philly, which is the most obvious destination because of Daryl Morey. So, Chris, my last thought to you is, I still believe in Ben Simmons more than Shannon does. He's 24 years of age. He can defend at the highest level. He's a triple-double waiting to happen, even though the points are going to be 13, 14, 15. And
5 last night.
Yeah, well, I got it, but he fouled out. He got in foul trouble and fouled out. Well, they won because of the nuclear weapon, who was Joel Embiid.
Danny Green.
No.
Danny Green shot 21 threes, Skip.
Okay.
When did Danny Green turn into Steph Curry?
Okay, but the point is, I get what Chris is saying. If Daryl Morey says, win right now, then you trade a 24-year-old Ben Simmons for a 31-year-old James Harden and hope that you get 2 years out of him, and one of them ends in a championship with Doc as the coach.
So you're going to trade him straight up, nothing else, just Ben Simmons for James Harden.
I'm afraid that's all that Houston's going to be able to command right now.
This is a crazy situation. I'm very intrigued how it plays out.
No mercy.
Tomorrow, Big Ten favorites face off on FS1. Tom Izzo's Michigan State Spartans battle Player of the Year frontrunner Luka Garza and the number 5 Iowa team in one of the most anticipated conference games all season. That's tomorrow, 9 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Well, good news. Amari Cooper underwent successful ankle surgery last week, and Jerry Jones thinks it could end up being a good thing for the receiver. Jerry called Amari one of the most talented players he has ever had on the Cowboys. Jerry also said Cooper, quote, has unlimited potential to go from here to a higher level. I think his surgery is going to allow him to do that. I think all of this is an experience builder. Michael Irvin told me the single most important thing he did in his career to make him Hall of Famer was when he rehabbed through his injury and saw how much football meant to him. So, Shannon, does Amari Cooper belong in the same sentence as Michael Irvin?
Come on, Shannon. Be honest.
Skip, Jerry need to stop. Skip, Jerry is trying to justify giving this man $20 million.
That is correct.
And this man averaged, he was 21st in the league as far as receivers and yards per game. This is the same guy that had 5 guys under 50 yards a game. He had 3 games of under 30 yards a game. He had 5 yards against the Eagles and 10 yards against the 49ers. And that's Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin told him the single biggest thing. Stop it. Michael Irvin didn't tell you no bull job like that. When Michael Irvin was on the field, they never saw Michael Irvin on the bench and says, okay, Jay Novacek, you take it over because Mike ain't got it today.
Yeah.
Mike quit. Or somebody made Mike Irvin quit.
On the road.
Man, stop. Skip. I'm not denying his talent. What you deny is his consistency. Why you think John Gruden let him go?
He did.
Guys ain't letting guys that give you that kind of, ain't nobody, you think the Green Bay gonna let Devontae Adams go? Hell no. They ain't letting guys like that go.
John Gruden did not like his motor. It doesn't run hot enough for John Gruden.
The only similarities I see between Amari Cooper and Michael Irvin, they play the same position. They play receiver. Other than that, that's it. He don't have the fire. He doesn't have. No, stop, Jerry. Just stop.
So, Jerry Jones has this in common with LeVar Ball. He attempts to speak things into existence.
Yes.
He's trying to speak Amari Cooper into Michael Irvin. And he's trying to say, Michael Irvin once told him, and remember, Michael suffered in it was their first year, 1989. Huh?
He broke it. That was
no, he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And it was career threat. It was a bad one. And it took 6 months to rehab it. And Michael faced sort of, quote unquote, his football mortality. And he told Jerry, I had to consider life without football. And it drove me to the Hall of Fame.
Skip.
Okay.
But that was the second year.
Amari Cooper just had ankle cleanup surgery. And you think he's going to have some enlightenment awakening?
Wow.
I missed football because I had my ankle cleaned up. I'm sure he's running as we speak.
Skip. Amari Cooper was the fourth pick in the draft. Amari Cooper's probably made, what do you say, Skip, 60 million? You want to say 60? Let's just be conservative. Let's say Amari Cooper's made 40 million.
Well, he made 20 last year.
Okay, he made plus the money he got through the contract. Okay. So I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to say he's made about $40 million.
Yep.
Michael Irvin at that point in time probably had made $2 million. Okay, $2 million at the start of your career versus $40 million 5 years, 6 years into your career. It's two totally different things.
I don't doubt. Just talent to talent. Amari's right there with Michael Irvin in pure talent. What have I told you about Michael Irvin? I consider him the greatest receiver ever because he was the unquestioned leader of a dynasty. It wasn't Troy Aikman. It wasn't Emmitt Smith. It wasn't Charles Haley or Darren Woodson. It was Michael. He was the lightning rod in that locker room. I realize he had issues off the field, but on the field, he led that team. He was the one I wanted in my foxhole if I went to Washington or to New York to play the Giants or the Eagles.
Imagine the physicality that they played with, and you covered those teams, and you know how physical it was, even on the edges. Nobody can make Michael Irvin shut it down.
No one. Well,
Stephon Gilmore made him tap out.
He made him tap out. He went and stood on the sideline with his cape on. And he ran such half-hearted routes at Philadelphia in the fourth quarter in the game of the year, do or die, sink or swim, that Jason Garrett said, you come over here and stand by me.
And put a tight end in, and they had a tight end running routes. And Jerry had the nerve. Michael Irvin should call Jerry and say, Jerry, don't ever do that. That's disrespectful to me, that you said that man.
Well, now Michael's become Mr. Cowboy Ambassador.
He's all things Cowboys. Jerry should actually put him on the paper because boy, he's like we got the Ram ambassador, we got the Cowboy ambassador. I don't know what you call that, Skip, but he definitely.
I agree.
But Skip, how would Jerry fix his mouth to say that?
Okay,
Skip?
Look, if we put him in a vacuum and we went talent for talent, is Amari a little faster than Michael?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Does Amari run crisper, purer route. Yes, he does. He's a exquisite route runner, right?
But when the ball's in there, give me Michael.
Oh,
give me Michael.
Hey, when it was time,
when the ball snapped, give me Michael.
When it was 3rd and 8 in Philadelphia, it was number 8 to number 88.
Yes.
And it was like money. It was, Troy said, I look for 88 because he might have to push off. He might, but he's going to get open. He's going to catch it.
Skip, I can make a case. It's very hard for Amari to be a top 10 receiver. We never questioned that. Jerry was always in the top 5. Jerry, my brother, Chris Carter, all those guys were right there. If you look at the top 10 list, Skip, you took at Devontae and you look at Stephon Diggs, you look at Justin Jefferson, you look at Tyreek.
You're going to go past 10. No, you are. I'm sorry. Well, I told you last year, at some point, CeeDee Lamb is going to be the number 1 receiver.
D-Hop. Okay. You taking him in front of D-Hop?
Okay.
No.
Okay, I got it. And yet, the one thing I give Amari, he has no diva in him like a lot of those Alabama receivers.
Right.
But the other problem is he has no diva in him. He has little self-confidence.
Yeah. You gave Jared, I guess you would say money well spent. Because you spent that money because you didn't want somebody else to have it. You realized it wasn't that valuable, but the fact that somebody else might have something that you could have kept.
Yeah. But with Jerry, the more he says it, I think the more he thinks he believes it into existence.
It don't make it true, though, Skip.
It all makes sense in Jerry's mind.
No mercy.
Well, Aaron Rodgers let the cat out of the bag on the Pat McAfee show when he said he would be guest hosting Jeopardy. Rodgers apologized since no official announcement had been made. Then he later talked more about it to reporters during his media availability session. The Packers QB was on a Celebrity Edition as a contestant in 2015 and admitted that he was and always has been a huge fan of the show. And Shannon, look, I know you have some personal experience on this one. Are you surprised he spent so much time talking about his upcoming Jeopardy game?
No. He's made it abundantly clear he's a big fan of the show. Watches it religiously. I was a big fan of the show when I played him until I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. Had the board game, had the video version of it. You can plug it into your TV and play. So I'm not surprised, Skip. He's going to be a guest host, and I believe he'll be a great job because he has just enough sense of humor, just like the great Alex Trebek had, to pull this off.
So, as you know, Jeopardy is my favorite show. I envy that you were once upon a time on Jeopardy.
And not just own it, tell it. No, don't just say own it.
And that you lost on Jeopardy.
I won.
Oh, okay. But here's what got me yesterday. Aaron Rodgers spent half his media availability crowing about how he's going to be the Jeopardy host with the Los Angeles Rams defense coming to town for a playoff game on, what is it, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday afternoon, evening. And all he's doing is talking about how he got everything he wanted. He said, our offense is much better. We finally got home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl. It feels like he already won the Super Bowl.
No.
I've never seen such overconfidence.
That's what happens when you're at peace. When you're in a great place, when you're at peace, you find the right boo, you good. Don't nothing else. Hey, you don't even talk about nothing else. Food don't even taste the same no more. You happy with where you are. He good with where he are.
He's feeling good.
No. His boo, the offense is clicking right now.
Jeopardy, looking pretty sharp, guys. Good stuff. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning. Have a good day, everyone.
Undisputed.